February 12th, 2020 of the Township of Washington, Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on February 4th, 2020, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors on your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Here.
Councilman Cumming?
Here.
Councilman DeSeta?
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Here.
Council President Feeney? Absent.
Indisposed.
Temporarily.
Also in attendance is not Mayor Peter Calamari, who is having a previous engagement, Robert Tovo, the administrator, and Susan Witkowski, Township Clerk. May I give you the public service announcements, February 12th, 2020. Township offices will be closed on Monday, February 17th in observance of President's Day. Township offices will be open on Tuesday, February 18th. Please check the website for department hours. Our next council meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 18th. 2020 Township baseball and softball registration is now open online. Please visit the Township website for further information. Registration after February 15th will be assessed a $25 late fee per family. Pet licensing. The late fee of $5 is now in effect. After March 1st, the late fee will be $25. Census 2020. In mid-March, households will begin receiving official Census Bureau mail with detailed information on how to respond to the 2020 census. If anyone is interested in joining the 2020 census team, please call 1-800-55-562-2020 or log on to 2020 census, census.org/jobs, JOBS. Sign up for township email notices by texting the word township to 22828. That's 22828, and entering your email address. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's move onward. We now have a motion for general public discussion open to the public.
So moved.
There is a 5-minute limit, as always. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Can you call the roll?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSeta?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Is there anyone who'd care to make a public comment? Would you come up to the microphone at the podium, please? With your name and address, please.
Hello, everyone. Anthony Conti. I'm at 490 Ridgewood Boulevard North, in the township, of course. Just a quick question for you. The mayor's not here, his attorney's not here, so I don't know if this question can be answered tonight. But I sent everybody a cease and desist order that was put in place for the swim club. I understand that you were trying to put the DPW down at the swim club. Is that fact? Is that truth?
I'm not prepared with the lack of personnel here to answer your question,
Okay, well,
but we will look it up and get back to you.
so it's a rumor that I heard around town, so I'm just trying to clarify.
I believe
Before
it's
I
just
get-
a rumor.
Before I get my neighbors all worked up and everybody else, I'm here to ask, before I bring 12, 15 people in here for nothing, I'd like to know if you are still moving forward with it, or if the cease and
Mr. Togo,
desist
can you
will
comment?
stop you.
The question has to be answered by the mayor and the attorney.
Okay.
So then I have to come to next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's no way to get an answer from him, even though I pose the question here now, and get a written answer from him?
No, sir.
No, it has to be done at the public meeting. Okay, I'll be back next week. The other quick question.
No, you may get an email. That would, if that would be acceptable to you.
I'd love an email saying that there's no intention of putting the DPW at the swim club.
Do we have your email address?
It's ACONTI, the number 3, at verizon.net.
Thank you.
Simple.
We'll see, it's up to the mayor and the attorney as to how they answer you.
That's fine.
I would hope that they would answer you
Yeah, well-
in a reasonable period of time.
If they want to move forward with it, I'd like to know if they're planning court dates, because I make sure I'll attend the court dates as well. The other question I have is the exit. I believe that was being worked on,
Yes.
the 168. Is that moving forward, or is it stalled? Do you know? The
Please.
next exit.
The
Remember
next,
we talked about some-
we have a meeting with the assembly, both assembly people next week.
About 7, okay. The last thing is, they ever gonna put that oil tank back in? I got some oil at my house I wanna dump in there.
I've been asking for the last 8 months.
I know, but
Yes, would you care to?
The tank did arrive, we're waiting for some additional pieces to go along with it, so it should be operational shortly.
oh, so we are getting one back.
We have.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Tobo. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and make a comment? Seeing no one else, I take a motion to close public discussion.
So moved.
May I have a second, please? Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
At this time, it would be appropriate to begin the discussion of the budget for 2020. Let's go. Mr. Togo, do you want to run this? Because you're the most knowledgeable person here in the absence of the mayor.
Thank you, sir. I will gladly kick off the conversation. My first question would be, does council have suggestions or thoughts on how they would like this formatted, what departments they would like in, and what dates, et cetera?
Does the,
How we did it last year, I don't know.
is the council president and council vice president going to write notice to all our employees so we can discuss their salaries? We have riced all the employees so we can discuss their salaries?
So we did last year, we have not riced them this year.
So we can't discuss any personnel then?
You can discuss their position, but not their name.
We can discuss positions and salaries, but we can't discuss names. Is that good enough for the
No.
moment?
No,
No.
they need to be right so we can discuss the.
Because if we slip with their name, we're going to be a violation and we're going to get in trouble like the mayor always likes to say.
Always
Mm-hmm.
err on the side of caution. You don't want to get in any trouble.
Next
The name-
item.
The name always slips out somewhere.
Well, would you see that the rice notices are issued before the next meeting?
Certainly, we're gonna get an idea what order we wanna do the departments in, so they're riced appropriately. We're not gonna discuss all of them in one night.
I would say start at the beginning and go to the end, like we did last year. I guess you would be number 1, Mr. Tobo. Since you're the first line of the budget.
They would recommend that we come back to council with a recommended schedule for what departments will be reviewed on which respective night, and then we will be, or council will be responsible for getting the rice notice out to those employees' schedule.
All right, can we talk about the grant consultant on page 1? Going down to there. Do you have any information for us on that, Mr. Tobo?
Again, we agree he's a professional, so should he be riced or not?
That's a question for our attorney if he was here.
He's not here.
All right, then we'll skip it, since we have a question.
We need to be better prepared, because a lot of us are taking a lot of time to be here tonight, and we need to have this squared away before we get here.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the actuals.
Well, in an effort to get something accomplished tonight, can we flip to the beginning of this section? It doesn't require any names to discuss our trust accounts.
Start there.
And if
What
council,
page is that, Mr. Toa?
that'd be the first page under current fund budget.
Yes.
And the reason this is placed in your binder was for the purpose of discussing whether any of these, if council would like to increase any amounts in any of the trust accounts. The ones I will call to your attention would be celebration of public events, as well as snow plowing. While I don't foresee a need to up snow plowing, it would be an option if you choose to do so.
I have a question on that, Mr. Toa. The reserve for recreation, we paid year-to-date $24,691.60. Do we know what that was for?
I am reviewing, as of today, with George Vinci, the status of all the rec accounts, and the trust is one of the ones that we're reviewing. So by our next meeting, I will have more answers.
Also, in looking at the year-to-date, the 2019 year-to-date spent, there's an $8,000 payment that was made to Bethany Church outside of the normal payments we made. I guess there was a price per child of $50, but then there's another $8,000 that we paid to them. Do we know what that was for?
Damage is done to property during the...
Excuse me?
Damage is done.
What kind of damages?
One large window was broken. It's the first, time that I can recall.
As a result of what event?
Summer rec activity.
One window plus $8,000.
One a large window is my understanding. That's one of the costs that would be under that payment.
That's this is the first I'm hearing of it. I've never heard, I found it when I was going through the year-to-date spent. I think we should have been advised of that payment. It's a very large payment for damages.
What are we paying total for the rent of that facility, Mr. Tillman?
No, this is on top of the rent.
I know, I'm saying.
That's how I found it.
Okay, I understand. But what did we pay?
I believe the total rent for the facility was around $40,000.
Well, that's,
It was a price per
it was
child.
$50 per child or something. It was,
So we exceeded the budget by 20%, right? We spent $40,000 to lease the facility, and we spent another $8,000 in damages on the facility. That's a huge number.
what do we have, 475 children approximately?
think that's right.
461 last year.
So 461 times 50 gives me $23,050.
And
Could we just reconcile that? Because I'm just,
Yeah, we can reconcile that. Like you said, all the trust accounts are being reconciled and looked at now. There was $50,000 in the current fund last year for recreation.
Right.
In addition to that would be the...
But that includes salaries and
funds
wages.
from fees. No, the salaries are paid by the
the
registration. fee.
registration fee.
Right.
All right, if we could get to the bottom of why T12, 56, 850, 832 was already charged $24,691, I'd really like to know. And if we can have an item, if we can have the invoice for the $8,000 in damages, because it was the first I'm hearing of it, and I didn't know anything about it until tonight. So it's disheartening that we didn't know about it. And again, it was a great program. Before anybody says I'm knocking the program, I just want to account for the dollars and cents of something that we didn't know about.
So are there any items on here that council would like to reinvest into the trust?
Has the outside billing, are we still collecting, for all this outside billing, Mr. Tovo, are we still collecting escrow?
Some we collect escrow on, the majority of ones that deal with the utilities, we do not collect the escrows.
Well, why is that?
Because they would prefer not to, and we would prefer not to. It becomes too complicated.
Okay.
Short-term projects and vendors don't fall into the utility category, do have to post their escrows.
And T12, 56, 850, 829, reserved for accumulated leave. Was that payment that we made to all the officers this year and we got rid of accumulated leave?
Yes,
So that is, it should be zeroed out
they
then.
will be zeroed out.
So we still haven't made all the payments or we have made them?
Most of them have been processed, I'm not sure if all of them have.
Oh, there's still a
Some
lot,
officers-
there's still a lot of, there's 330,000 in there still, so that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and some of the officers were deciding how they wanted those funds dispersed, whether it be through their deferred compensation or direct check, so they're not all resolved as of yet.
But they will be resolved by the end of this, by last year, or?
No, it's still open, it's still
I know
just,
it's open.
we said, we were told it was gonna be resolved last year because it was gonna end in 2019.
Right.
And there's still $330,145 there.
And when, well, my question
Not
is, when are we
unresolved.
anticipating to zero that out?
This should be zeroed out in the next 60 days.
Next 60 days?
Yeah.
Is that a firm date?
I see no reason why it wouldn't be.
Okay.
And that's up to the employee how it's supposed to be dispersed, or is there a mechanism for that?
Well, there's both. There's up to the employee, and then there's a mechanism they would follow to have the funds dispersed, whether directly to them or to the deferred comp plan or anywhere else they designate.
Okay. And then next year, that line item will be zero, right?
Correct.
And that was part of the contract, or a new contract?
That was part of the agreement, the new contract, yes.
Let's see. The Fill It Forward project, is that, where are we with that? Is that something that's we're gonna zero out?
There's been no money requested for that program by the Green Team.
That's the trust that Judy had to set up for their collections, right, Mr. Toma?
Yes.
At this point, I have no problem with anything at this point. Is Fund 12, I'm sorry, where it says trust other total budget, that's all these trusts combined, right? On page 2, right underneath the CAFR 56, where the total is 860,000. That's all these combined together?
Look for that number.
Is that the number? 860?
Yes, that should be the total.
That's the
All-
total, that's like a control line, right?
Mhm.
Control line.
I don't think the control on the trust works as it does in the capital, though.
Right, it just
There's
adds it
not
up.
enough- Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Can we look at some of the capital projects you had planned, Mr. Toma?
Yes, I was gonna recommend that we look at that, because again, that would require rushing any personnel.
meetings to come.
Do you want to discuss capital budget?
That will be fine. Do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay,
Whatever your pleasure would be.
go ahead.
Starting with road improvements, we do have the award for our Ridgewood Road extension. I believe that was, it was $200,000, give or take a few dollars. And same as last year, we are currently budgeting $500,000 of new capital funds for that. Once we evaluate or finish evaluating the roads, that will become the ultimate combination 1920 capital. That number may move slightly, but I think it's pretty accurate along with the grant money. Moving on to vehicles, the major vehicle purchase would be under fire department for the new ladder truck. I don't believe that's news to anybody. It's been discussed for a number of years. We have some major repairs due on that vehicle as of right now, so it's imperative that we move on this and, acquire that new vehicle.
We're anticipating bonding that?
Initially bans, then bonding it, yeah.
That's over how many years?
It'll be determined by the bond council, but it's typically going to be a 15-year vehicle, if not more.
Just going back to the road program, Mr. Toto. This is 500,000 plus the 2 in the grant, and that doesn't include anything from last year, correct?
Does not.
The 700,000.
Correct.
So we anticipate dropping $1.4 million in roads this year.
Correct. Rough number, yeah.
Okay.
If you like, I'll move on to DMF, Class 2 pickup truck. Strong feeling that one more vehicle is needed for the movement of equipment and debris. Right now, we're just contracted numbers somewhere in the mid-50s, depending on what add-ons we may need with that. So we budget slightly, slightly higher at the $60,000. Wheel loader was discussed last year. We're pricing a little high on this because our estimates are kind of all over the map depending on
What is a wheel loader? What do you consider?
The wheel loader is a smaller version of the larger loaders that we have, but with more versatility. There's more parts and attachments like augers and different devices we can utilize with it. We would also be looking at equipment on there that would be amenable to or make our leaf collection process more efficient than it has been.
How many loaders do we have now?
We have 2 loaders plus the
Government surplus?
right, and we believe we can use that as well as our skid steer as a trade-in on the new wheel loader, which will bring this number down.
When are the department heads coming into our meetings?
Well, as I said earlier, that's what we should do, is set up a schedule for when all the department heads are coming in to discuss their current budget as well as support for their capital.
Was this wheel loader recommended by the superintendent and the?
Director?
What's I'm
Director.
asking?
Yeah.
When are
Yes.
they coming?
It seems we'll have 3 loaders, right? The 4th with this one.
Well, keep on to the 3rd one, the military surplus one. We've not been able to retrofit that one to really suit our needs for primarily for snow and leaf removal. Had a number of different companies look at it, and we're really very limited what we can use that for. We'd be better served with something a little bit smaller, a little more versatile.
What, have we used it in our?
We have not. We've been renting backhoe every year to offset the 2 loaders and, expedite the cleanups.
Which may be a smarter thing to do for the short amount of times we use the backhoe. Renting it is probably not a bad thing.
I agree. It's not a bad thing. I think
Because
that
we don't have the space for it. It sits outside and rots.
We have one that we're not using
And we
anyway.
have one that,
Well, again, we're not using that 3rd one because it's really not equipped for what we need it for, and it's too old to retrofit.
Well, what was the reason when we got it? Just to get it?
Well, no, I wouldn't say just to get it, there was a hope when we got it that we would be able to retrofit, the bucket onto the front, but that just became a very difficult task because of the age of it.
Do you know what the rent is for us to rent the equipment?
That's about $3,500 a month.
We're ahead of the game by a lot by doing that.
Get it for 3 years. We don't know.
No, you get it for 10 years. But you don't.
Well, but
That's
remember,
what I meant.
there's other things we can use that loader for if we have the other attachments. And again, I'm sure that, that department will make the argument for it. I think there's, many uses they can get out of it.
I think we have a lot of fish to fry, and we really have to be conservative with our purchases, so.
We'll also know more when we speak with the department heads. I can explain more, right, of what this can
Sure.
offset. And
Absolutely.
It's a shame we can't use the surplus unit.
I wouldn't want to use it if it makes more sense to rent though, so we really have to figure that piece out. You know?
Rental, remember, it's always going to be subject to availability as well.
Right.
So, and then I thought there would be garbage trucks scheduled for 2021. As we all know, our trucks are aging out, and we are spending a lot of money on repairs on them, so we need to start getting a handle on their replacement.
Do we have the inventory of vehicle list?
We do,
Can we have that available for the next,
for when the
Next
EMF
month,
comes
yeah.
in, or, sure.
Good.
what's bailout here?
Bailout gear, I can't say I'm overly familiar with it, but there is equipment that the firefighters can wear with their turnout gear that would allow them to bail out of the second or third story window safely.
Right.
It's more of a rope device.
Absolutely then, worth it.
Yeah, and this would outfit, I believe, the majority, if not the entire department. There was no questions there. Moving on to police, in-car computers. Our current in-car computer system has aged out. Typically 5 years is the max on those, and we've already exceeded 5 years. So there's no warranty, there's really no support for them anymore. There's a couple of Band-Aid options that we did look at, and then at the end of the day, there's no guarantee it's going to keep them running to the level they need to. So it's recommended that we fund that in 2020. And the evidence room compliance upgrades is a combination of some hardware, some software, and some professional services to ensure that our evidence gathering and storage and record keeping for court purposes is in line with what it needs to be. As we look to accreditation sometime in the near future, this will become a vital piece of moving forward on that. As you'll see in the out years, townwide CCTV, in-car video systems, and license plate readers. And the license plate readers, fortunately, the technology is such that price has come down on that. We previously budgeted something north of $25,000 for that, so our new pricing is bringing it below that number. In-car video, again, we're running into a scenario there where they will soon be out of warranty and out of support, so we need to look at funding that going forward as well. We believe we can get through 2020 okay, but 2021 we'll have to replace those items.
What's the age on the current system?
Again, these systems are typically good for 5 years, and we're probably at the 7 or 8 year mark, and that's why we're not getting any, there's no more support available for it. What's that?
I just think it's a gimmick. Like no more support for Windows 7, so they can sell you Windows 10.
It seems like yesterday we just got them, in all the cars.
Technology.
Seems like we just got, again, I've been here 13 years, but it just seems like.
So to you, it seems like they just got them. Well,
It's
you're
a
not
big-
wrong.
It was a big expense then.
I have a 10-year
big
warranty on my
expense,
Subaru.
to go.
Well, you don't have a number for that yet,
For what?
for the in-car video system.
Yeah, it's 45,000.
Yeah.
45,
Or
it's in
less, didn't you
2021.
say? Did you
No.
say possibly less, or it's definitely 25?
For the in-car videos at 45 in
Yeah, I see
2021.
a 45 across from that
Okay.
in 2021, when you say it'll be outmoded, right?
So Bob,
Possibly.
Bob,
You said possibly.
you overlook townwide CCTV system. We had budgeted $250,000 in last year's budget to install the communication backbone.
That was fiber optic, yes?
Correct, that would be able to run these cameras that we never, kind of just died, and we were asking about it and it never went anywhere. Just like our radio system upgrade that kind of died.
Well, no, it didn't die. We've been evaluating different options.
I know, but it's been,
Right now, we're waiting for pricing back. Should have had it today, I expect to have it tomorrow. Once we have that pricing, we can set up our next meeting with county personnel, put together a contract and an implementation and, plan.
but we
for
haven't made
migrating
a
over.
decision about whether, like, we've never been presented with the options of how we're gonna proceed forward.
Well,
So,
and to do that, you need to have pricing. I have pricing on
I know.
other systems other than going to the county. So the county is the last piece
And I'd
we
like
need
to
for
sit,
evaluation.
and I'd like to sit with the police chief and the fire chief and the DMF director to get their, I want them to explain why they think we should go with the system that we're going to before we expend $750,000 on the system, please. It's just the way it should be.
I'll advise the mayor, you'd like to sit in on that, and
I don't want to sit, I want him to present it in public. I think
Okay.
it's one of the largest capital expenditures we're gonna make as a municipality. And, the same thing, we put 250 in for the fiber optic backbone so these camera TV systems could operate, and we haven't moved
well,
forward with that
I
either.
don't think it's fair to say we put it in there just for the cameras.
No, but we put it in for the fiber backbone, but we haven't,
And there are other fiber backbone options that we're looking at that we can likely acquire for less cost than the money we've allocated.
but the
So
reason is we were gonna join the Westwood backbone, the Emerson backbone, the Westwood Regional School District backbone. That's why we budgeted the money. That's what we
Well, you
was
may have
presented.
budgeted, that may have been what was presented at the time, but other options are also available where we can still tie into all the same locations you're talking about at a lower cost than what was budgeted last year.
But when are we gonna
So-
find that out? We're finding it out right now. You're telling us.
We didn't even know there was another option.
Yeah.
This is the first thing we're hearing about.
The reason we budgeted $250,000 in 2019 was to join Emerson, Westwood Regional School District, and all the school, and
Well, first off, let's back up, because when that number was thrown out there for that fiber network, that was purely a ballpark estimate.
No, it's
That
from the
wasn't a-
vendor.
No, it was not. The real price
I met with
from
the vendor.
Millennium, okay, the real price from Millennium was in excess of $250,000, okay? So there's no way we could have completed the project with the money funded. Compelled me to look at other options from other vendors.
Okay.
Those other vendors were bringing in lower prices that could offer us the same service as going with the Westwood project. I have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow with the last company I'm evaluating with, and then we'll have a clear picture of 3 options.
Okay. Could agree to disagree.
Agree, disagree with what? I mean, we looked at other options to be responsible.
Yeah, no,
If
but
we
we
knew it was
met,
gonna
but we
exceed the
met
budget.
with, but we met with the board superintendent, the borough administrator of Westwood, the mayor and I were there, and that was the number that was presented, and they told us you put $250,000 in the budget, it'll build the system. That's what was presented to us.
And once I sat down with them and they did a hard cost analysis, it exceeded that number.
But we were never told that.
Okay. We can move on to DEMA. Last year, we
Mr.
purchased,
Tomo, can you get me that analysis? Because I'd like to see it.
certainly can.
The initial analysis with them?
The initial analysis I never saw. The only
Or
thing,
the current analysis?
price from Millennium.
Your current analysis, yes. Thank you.
Will we all get copies of that?
Of course.
Thank you.
I do appreciate, though, that you're getting options. That's very responsible. I just want to say that, because if we can get it for less, that would be fantastic.
Yes.
Well, Desiree, just so you're aware, the reason it was coming in at that number was because we were joining Westwood Regional School District, Westwood,
Right.
Emerson, and all the surrounding towns, because they had told us it was a lot more of an investment, but because we were going in all together, that's why we were getting the benefit of savings.
I think you were saying you could still tie into all of those things,
Correct.
and those were the options you were looking at, and they may come in even less, with the option to still tie into all of those things.
Correct.
Okay. That
The
would-
operational piece of it would be no different than what was originally proposed,
Right.
but the pricing would be.
Right,
As I'm sure you remember, if not, to bring a bit of speed, last year we bought a new paint machine for the DMF. It's worked wonderfully. During that process, there was an option for a driver attachment where the machine would now have to be pushed manually. This will greatly expedite our ability to, stripe our roads and our lots whenever we need to, simply because the driver attachment speeds the process up. So for the rather small investment to upgrade that, I think we can cut that time virtually in two.
I agree.
A hot box for asphalt, again, it was discussed last year, tentatively in the '21 budget. General feeling is that until we have a permanent DMF location, that purchase should probably hold off until then, so then they move another year. Again, it's a storage issue, where do we keep it when we're not using it? On to page 2, backside, loader claw attachment for leaf collection. This will be for the purchase of 2 claw attachments for the loaders. I don't know if you've seen them in action, Mr. DeSena, you probably have.
Yes.
Greatly expedites the leaf process and just makes it cleaner as well. So we all know that leaves and snow are a big part of our DMF responsibilities, and whatever we can do there to enhance that is something worth considering.
So this is for 2 of them? This?
Yes,
oh,
ma'am.
okay.
And this is something that will need to be corrected going forward, but in the recent past, under state contract, the plow attachments and brine attachments we're getting are not the fissures that we have on all the other equipment. The fissure is preferred by the DMF as being easier to work with and easier on maintenance, a little more durability. So we'd like to retrofit some of the newer vehicles to the Fisher plows and brine disbursement, and we believe $25,000 will cover that upgrade. And going forward, even if we have to slowly deviate from state contract, we can buy the vehicles on the contract, and we may need to go out for some quotes to make sure we're getting the equipment that we want from Jump Street and not going back later.
Our brine truck still works?
It does, yes. Yeah, when our Class 7 comes, it'll also have the brine bar on it, so we'll have the ability to run 2 vehicles.
Okay.
Building and park improvements, one of the concerns I had from the time I got here is not really having money in capital for drainage projects. I know last year there was an effort to put some money in current for that. Quite frankly, we never really know year to year what those projects are going to be. This year we do know we're going to have 2 projects in the area of $40,000 to $50,000 apiece, and there are others that
Where are these drainage projects located, Mr. Toro?
one is just off of Bergen, and the other one I have to get for you. I don't recall the
And what are
address.
they gonna entail?
They're going to entail putting a drain in a location around numerous homes where there is pooling and ponding of water that cannot be directly attributed to anything anybody did on their properties. So these are long-standing issues that have never been dealt with, and because they're affecting more than 1 or 2 homeowners, we feel we have to step in and make this correction for them, put the drain in, run it through the nearest stormwater pipe, and alleviate the issue.
Who identified those? Who identified those areas?
Initial complaint came from the property owners, and engineering, Boswell, went out and surveyed all of them and led us to these numbers and
Is the
this
other one the
recommendation.
corner of Amherst?
We had someone
And
come and
Pascack?
present here.
Excuse-
We had someone come and present here, and said that they were getting flooding, it was on Washington.
Yeah,
Washington.
Mr. Getz's house.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering.
I don't believe the Washington is the one. We do have an issue on Washington near Calvin that we have a specialist coming in to look at. We believe that it's likely a pipe leak somewhere uphill from the location, but we need to have special sounding equipment come in to locate the original source. That would be separate from these projects. We think that'll be an easier fix, or be a fix for Suez and not for us.
I was gonna say, shouldn't we call Suez and have them check their pipe first?
We did, and they're saying that it's not theirs, and our engineer, as well as this expert, feels that it's very likely that it's theirs, but we need to track
Have we
it down.
have we checked the residual for chlorine? It's a $5 test.
I couldn't tell you that. I had to ask the engineer.
Before we get the sounding equipment, can we just put a chlorine test kit on it? Spend $5, I'll bring my chlorine test kit and I'll test it for chlorine if you tell me where it is. And if it's got chlorine in it, we can blame Suez. That's a quick and easy, down and dirty test. And can we ask our grant consultant, since he's 0 for 0, if he can find us some discretionary aid from DOT for these 2 drainage projects and have it hopefully come through discretionary aid? They love giving money out for discretionary aid for drainage projects. Gotten millions.
Drainage as it affects roadways or
Yes.
private properties?
Roadway.
Okay, these drainage projects are affecting private property, not roadways per se.
Whoa.
Where's the pool
So
is
we're
on property?
gonna put pipes on private property?
Pipes on private property all over the place.
Yeah, but we have easements for it.
And we have to have one for this too. And the property owner's in agreement.
Wow, okay. I thought this was for roadway.
The roadway ones that we've identified are all going to be done as part of the road program.
I know there's been a ponding program at Amherst and, a problem at Amherst and Pascack for about 3 years.
I'm sorry, what's that?
My concern is it's affecting more than one property owner, I get it, but now you're using tax dollars on private property for homeowners. It's just a concern, because all of a sudden there's gonna be other
Pandora's
areas
box.
out there, and then you open up a whole slew of issues. Well, see, now I have a drainage issue, because my neighbor just raised his property level.
Well, so that's where these
That's
are
where I
unique.
start to have an issue with it.
The majority of the issues that we come across are attributed directly to a property owner. And we can compel them to correct that mistake. But now when we have these that are not attributed to anything that was done on their property, it was probably poor design from the beginning when the initial development went in. Now we have to help them alleviate the issue.
Yeah, but shouldn't we put our house in order before we put other people's houses in order?
I don't understand what that means.
We have drainage issues all over our roads. We have sinking manholes, we have sinking catch basins. We have, poor drainage on a lot of blocks,
And the ones that have been brought to our attention, we are dealing with.
but there's no money in the budget to deal with. I mean, we put
Well,
$30,000 in the budget last year and we spent 0 of
As
it.
I said, the ones that are on the roadways are part of the road program.
So this building or park improvement drainage project's really just for those identified.
Right, and still leave a little bit of money left for others that might occur during the course of the year.
I'm gonna, Mr. Tova, I'm gonna disagree because the engineer told us that on Viola Court, he wanted under drain installed along the upper portion to solve all the problems. We bid it and we didn't get a number for under drain. So how are we fixing that problem?
And when did we bid that?
It says part of the bids we took in December.
As part of the 2020 road program.
I thought that one was part of the 2019 program.
There were a number of, that were combination, there could be 19, there could be 20. Because of the drainage issue on that road, it deemed more efficient to do it as part of the 20, which would be done the second part of the year.
Okay.
I want to know where these projects are, who it affects.
I think I need to know more about these
Because
projects.
I'm not very comfortable with that.
I'm not
grand
comfortable
scheme of
either.
things with that.
When
so
you're saying it's drainage projects on private property.
Yeah, I mean,
That's an issue That's an issue for me. Let's get more information.
When I know I drove past a puddle at the corner of Amherst tonight.
Correct. And
And
we
as
haven't
soon as
fixed
the
that.
weather gets warm, we're gonna hear that there are mosquitoes breeding in that puddle again for the third year. And I don't know that it's on the road program.
Okay, but then the
Mr.
problem on
T.
Amherst, is that due to, is that a recent development? Because we did have an issue on Amherst this week for a backup.
No, it's been for 3
Sounds like
years.
it's ongoing.
So I'm asking.
It's ongoing.
I don't know.
That's the first I'm hearing that it's ongoing.
And, you know, we need $120,000 worth of drainage projects at Memorial Field to fix the ditch according to our engineer around the whole perimeter. So, you know, we have an ambitious $2.7 million capital program that is gonna, you know, not be able to be funded because it's gonna put our taxes through the roof. So if we're gonna spend $120,000, I'd rather put it at Memorial Field for the children of our town. Because I believe that's what Mr. Yukimic quoted the drainage, right, Mr. Cumming?
Yes,
The drainage fix was about $120,000 to replace the ditch that's been covered up through the years,
I think so.
so.
Interesting photo for you.
You found the ditch?
No,
I've seen, somebody gave me a picture of the ditch.
I found a picture of the Washington School with no trees.
Yeah, you can see the
That's-
ditch, yeah.
Oh, I should have brought it in. I'll bring it in,
Okay.
I'll bring it to
Okay. Where are we now? Library?
Yes, library renovations. Currently, the library staff is working with the grant writer for a renovation project there. We, again, this is only an estimate number at this point. They're still working with the architect for the final number, but it would be a match. So if we're allocating 100 or 125, whatever the number comes out to be, then the state would be matching that number.
And what are they doing specifically?
Until the architect comes back with more detailed plans, I
Oh,
really
okay.
can't give you a lot on that.
Okay.
But as I have it, you'll have it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Traffic control devices, as we all know, we have many of our residents have complaints in regards to traffic calming and desire to see stronger efforts there. We feel a combination of fixed devices and mobile devices warning people of their speed and reminding them of the respective speed limits, in this case, all 25 zones. We can start to put the educational piece into our enforcement.
So this is not signs? Or is that your fixed?
Well, they're electronic signs, but they are not speed limit signs.
So Westwood puts speed limit signs all over Westwood, and they work great. It's, they're small, and they mount on a normal U-shaped pole, and they're solar powered, and they just put them up on, it appears on all the high speed areas, and it tells you to slow down, and it flashes. It's pretty, and they're not that big, and I don't think they were that expensive. So maybe we could
Solar
talk to
power,
them.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. and
they're
we-
similar to the solar signs we put up by, at the crosswalks by the,
Mhm.
but it flashes your speed and slow down and all.
Warning or slow
No,
down.
yeah, but it's only about a foot by 14, it's like 14 by 14, so it's not massive.
Yeah,
But they fit into they're all over Westwood if you drive through.
And they've become a lot more affordable, so we know the problem roadways, we'd like to permanently mount some there, and some of the roadways that are problematic, just not quite to the level of some of the others, we want to be able to move them around. So,
But more fixed than movable, right? I really like that idea.
Well, if you go, when you come over to railroad tracks at CVS,
Mhm.
and you make like that 90-degree turn by the lake over there,
Yep.
there's one right there, and it's perfect.
I like it.
It's like that big.
Yep.
for the most part, you won't see a difference on the fixed versus the movable, because they're virtually the same design, it's just how they mount to the pole.
Okay.
So. the
Well, these are nice because they mount to a normal street post, you don't have to put anything special up.
For
Sort of
example-
like the ones by the high school, you don't have to put anything special up.
As an example, I would foresee something permanent on Van Amberg, at least on one side, maybe something permanent on Colonial, and have some flexibility with the others.
Mountain could use one too.
Yeah,
All the
mountains,
through,
yeah.
like through streets. for
Mountains,
sure,
mountains
yeah.
is speed block too.
But the speed bump off, it's brown.
I have a couple places I'd like speed bumps, but that's for another meeting.
That's not gonna happen. You can just, don't even bother.
Keep
Police
dreaming.
don't- It's not gonna happen. Police don't want it. BMF doesn't want it, so you're not getting it.
I missed it, didn't want one?
Speed bumps.
Speed
but
bumps or
that's
speed humps?
for another meeting.
There are things like speed humps and, mid-block stops that can also be, inexpensive ways to calm the traffic as well, but, we'll take further discussion to get to that point.
I'd like to discuss that further at some point, just putting it on the books there. I'd like to discuss that.
There's something called a speed table that they've also employed in Fairlawn, which is like a long, shallow speed bump. And it's like this table in the middle of the road, so it serves the same purpose.
Right.
I put 6 of them in Glen Rock, they work good.
Yeah, the table really is the
The
recommended.
table
way
is,
to go.
because the speed
Yeah.
hump's illegal in New Jersey, so.
Well, the speed bump is illegal,
yeah,
the
but the
speed hump.
table's okay.
And the speed bump is so bad that you can't enforce Title 39 if you have one,
Oh, well, I would like to talk about that for sure.
Put it on the agenda.
The problem I run into with speed tables is that everybody wants one, and then when you put it up in front of their house, they scream because everything that goes over it goes ka-dung, 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 ka-dung all night long. It doesn't stop. And then all of a sudden, they come back and they're like, get rid of this thing as soon as possible. So
Sure.
because
And the rumble strips are worse.
the rumble strips are worse,
They don't do anything.
because that's like, you're hitting your anti-lock brakes, the rumble strips.
Right.
And, everybody wants it, and then you say, all right, I'm gonna put it in front of your house, and we put it in front of your house, and then all of a sudden, I was up all night because every single vehicle, dum, dum,
Well, they complained about the flashing signs on Van Amberg too, when they
Yeah.
were first put in.
Yeah.
The nice people who come to the meeting quite often, with the gentleman and the lady
I know
with
you
the
do.
white hair.
Well, you can't have everything.
Correct.
So you're either gonna have safety, or you're gonna have a little bit of noise that when you have your windows open for 1 month out of the year, it bothers you. So I think we should definitely talk more about that.
But I think
More than-
the speed tables may be worth it.
Windows.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Speed
we have a
table.
lot of, speed table,
Right,
yeah.
right.
We have a lot of concerns about speeding with the children in town.
Yes.
And it's all about the children. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, I think to add something for the library, I was over there the other day and Laura told me they were gonna take 2 rooms in the back, put them together, put a wall across the front, and have a very quiet study cubicle kind of a place, many cubicles around the edge of it, and construct a whole new space out of what had been previously underused office space.
Okay.
And I thought that was a very good purpose. At least it sounded to me on a quick visit, and I wasn't prepared to be reviewing all this, but they have some nice ideas.
Next item is a combination of different things. Last year, the clerk recommended some storage shelving for the vault and the storage room downstairs. A few other needs have come up along the way. I thought it would be better to combine this into one project. Lower level renovation would be some work in the construction office to redesign the counter space in there to make that more efficient. The barn style doors that we've talked about for certain departments would make a safer environment within the building and, not allow people to wander into private offices. So there's a number of, we're getting pricing on the doors, so we would need new doors and door frames to handle that. But they will match the doors that we currently have, which is one of my bigger concerns. So we're working with a few companies on pricing there. Flooring will be needed in construction once the current countertop is moved, countertop is moved there. And I think it's high time that we did something with the flooring in the upstairs conference room. That rug is severely outdated, and I think we can do something with the desk and the chairs in there and just make that room more usable than
The
it
carpeting's
currently is.
atrocious on the 3rd floor conference room.
And then lastly, back to the storage, rather than being lost in its own private small number somewhere, just put it in with the entire renovation.
I'm hoping that the flooring you're gonna use, if this does go through, is not gonna be another carpet that only has a 5-year life, and it's gonna be something more durable that.
Well, wouldn't we put
No.
the same flooring that we put everywhere else in the
Absolutely.
building? Because
Yeah.
it lasts forever?
Correct.
Makes sense.
And that way, if we want to put real conference room chairs in there that are on wheels, we can do that,
Right.
playing field upgrades, we kind of touched on that when it came to drainage before, but that was something considered for the out years, primarily for Memorial. Newtown signs, this has kind of been a moving target for, I think, a number of years, referring to the Welcome To type signs. They've been budgeted in a variety of different current capital, et cetera.
So why are we budgeting for them again?
Well, what was in current this year was not utilized. There's difficulty in getting a second quote, and we're still working on that. So that would just default back to the budget for a year from now. So we just put in capital, put the right dollar amount in, and we can see it through to completion. Obviously, this is a weather-sensitive issue. While they can paint the signs and get them ready, can't install them in the colder weather. Some of the signs that we might be able to reface rather than replace can only be done in warmer weather. So it's going to be a timing thing. So we're hoping.
Which sign, Mr. Toto, which signs are we talking about?
Yeah, how many are there?
We have quotes for all the Welcome to Washington Township signs.
Okay,
at the
that's
major-
two, that's two of them.
And there was signage proposed for this building, as far as where the PD is.
This is what Mr. Cumming had proposed, correct, Mr. Cumming?
I thought I gave information at least twice to the mayor as
Yeah.
to where to get the plastic,
Mhm.
and the man at the county that would route it to say Washington Township for the blue sign at the bottom, in the circle at the bottom,
Yeah.
in front of this building. And
And you were gonna do the honor roll board over, right? You had.
Yeah, that's included in there too, the honorable.
No, but I'm saying, Mr. Cumming had all,
Yeah.
these were supposed to be put up like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
before your time, Mr. Toto, it's not your.
Yeah, before your time.
The only
I'm
numbers,
sorry.
the only numbers I have on this are from a private vendor, so I don't know.
I'll try to dig out
We can
the
get
two
Mr.
phone numbers
Cumming,
for
I
you
can-
tomorrow.
Because I mean,
There's a-
we've
there's a
had the
place
sign
you
money
buy the board
in the
from.
last 2 budgets,
And
so to
then-
put it in this one also.
There's a
Well,
man
I'm
at the
saying that
county who does the
what's
routing.
in this current budget is, we're not touching it, it's simply gonna default and can be utilized 2 years from now to offset the tax increase. Money prior to that was funded in capital, there's really nowhere to find it in capital. I don't know where it was put.
Is it in cap?
And that was only 10,000, so that would not be enough for the project by itself.
I don't know, I just started talking to Sears about this 2 years ago, and he wanted to replace the blue sign, the bond, which
Yeah,
looks
which makes
quite
sense.
pitiful
Yeah,
for
it's
our
awful,
town
yes.
compared to the other signs. And we had just made one for the Arboretum in Fairlawn
And
that
and
was
you're gonna
very,
replace the
very
honor-
nice.
You're gonna replace the honor roll?
And, well, we could do that too.
Well, I thought that was
And-
part of your proposal originally, you were gonna have that routed out.
All the
I was
signs in
just
front of the building
assisting.
are included in that number.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Good.
whether we do additional signs, or there was some other numbers in there for smaller signs at, less heavily used entry points into town. But I didn't budget for that yet. Let's just see how this project goes and if we like the product. And-
Instead of capital project.
What's
That's
that?
it? Yeah. No,
And
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
which number are we talking about?
2.7 million for
Total.
these capitals for 2020 is huge.
It's $3 million. In capital projects in 1 year. That's a lot of money. Well, a big chunk of it is.
1.5 of it
truck.
is for one truck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I understand that.
but you take the 1.5 out, you're still spending 1.2 in capital, that's a lot of money in 1 year.
So prior to last year, when we had to bite the bullet and spend a lot, what is the average been for the township and capital per
It
year?
We
hasn't
got the
been
road
2.7.
program and the fire truck in there.
But we've needed
So
a lot of stuff.
what are you gonna
that we
do?
haven't done as well, so.
That blue sign at the bottom of this hill, it's pitiful for us. But, I mean, Washington
1970
Township
sign.
is a
The sign from
nice,
1970?
nice place to visit, but it's a better place to live. And that sign doesn't look us. It does not. Daisy is doing a wonderful job. I can't mention names, I'm sorry. But I said wonderful job for the events and the Christmas and all this other stuff. And we're really gonna be the place to be in Bergen County. And I'm very proud of us. And I think we need a sign that reflects that at the bottom of the hill in front of the building, if I may say so.
I agree with you,
I
Mr.
do,
Cumming,
I
but when
do.
we outprice everybody in our town, because our taxes, a $3 million.
I'm sensitive to the tax issue also.
On top of this,
It's
the
the
money.
only thing and the first thing everybody says to me that recognizes me, which is fortunately not too many people. I'm still fairly obscure.
There's a huge tax.
Maybe more after tonight.
Keep it that way. You wanna keep it that way.
I'm only a heartbeat away from the presidency, as I joked to Stacy on sign day. So now, where should we proceed to?
Well, my concern would be going anywhere else with this budget now, we do run the risk of talking about employees. So I think
Okay.
our best option would be to play it safe.
Gentlemen, do you have any concerns or
What's that?
eliminations that you desire from the capital budget?
We didn't go over town hall access control.
Okay.
So I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't want to skip anything.
Well,
And
So
simply, we started the project, as we all know,
how much is invested in that project already?
$8,000.
How many, please? I'm sorry.
8,000, I'm sorry.
8,000?
Maybe
Thank you. I'm sorry, I
Or
just
six,
didn't hear.
6,800, I have
so
to double
sorry.
check the number. So we have a bid spec written to go out to bid, or have one of the state contract holders come in and give us a number to complete. We would obviously go with two state contract holders so we can get some competitive pricing on it. If not comfortable with that, we'll just have pay a company to write a spec and put it out to bid.
So
And
you
then-
budgeted 60,000 for that, Mr. Todd?
Correct.
Yeah, we finally got the temperature right here. We're pretty close to right.
I'm
Huh?
not freezing.
You're not freezing.
I'm not freezing.
This glass top doesn't help at all because it takes hours to warm it up. It's like a piece of marble, you can always tell quality by touching it, and it's cold. But things are pretty comfortable tonight.
Going back to the earlier suggestion,
I'm
if you
sorry.
wanted us to put a schedule together, starting with next Tuesday's meeting for the respective departments and how many we think we can get through in, one night, we can start doing that. And council president can notify the clerk as to who should be rice for that.
So could you do a general rights notice for all dates? You have to be specific to date and time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we learned that last year. Like the zoning board, they don't carry over to the next meeting.
Right, that's what I thought, that's what I
It would be easy,
anticipated.
but thank you. No,
Are we satisfied with the town hall access control? We've spent 8,000 or so far, and we're about to spend 60,000 to finish it.
I
And
don't think we're looking for an approval tonight, it's everybody's first look at this, so.
do we have any more discussion? That's what I kind of meant.
So you're thinking the whole thing is gonna cost under 70 grand to put in access for the whole building electronic?
I'm thinking the whole thing's gonna cost under 60 grand, but I have to leave some room in the event that we have to pay somebody to put a bid spec together.
My sincere hope is that you'll greet me with a little charity when I bring you a $20,000 energy management system at some point in the near future, I
It's
hope.
not in the capital, Mr. Cumming.
Where would it be?
In the capital?
Would it be appropriately in capital?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll turn my two estimates over to you that I have so far. and
Because how much did you say it was?
It's gonna run, we've just finished an inventory, actual inventory of the equipment. We had two blind estimates before. One was 20 and one was 16. So to do the right thing, get the right thing, which I've seen so many times in government, that, a camel is a horse that was created by a committee, that we've had a camel instead of a proper horse. I'm going to make sure, as I did with this air conditioning unit, that it's a proper functioning system that I can be proud of when I walk away from it. And that's gonna run around 20. So I'd like to request that be added to the capital then, if that's apropos. Because I hope to have some description and specs ready for you within a month, I think would be reasonable. We've waited too long already. Should have been in last year.
excuse me, Councilman Cumming, what would you call that piece that we're looking for then?
Energy management system?
Is that the best way? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Mr. Cumming, you propose adding $20,000 to the capital project for
Yes.
$20,000 for
Could you
energy?
please?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not approving it, I'm just saying that's what
Yes,
you
no,
want.
that's what I'd like to do, please.
Okay.
That's a best guess based on current information. Where would you like to go next, Mr. T?
As I explained, I think that if we try to go anywhere else, we're gonna end up in a dilemma where we can't have a complete conversation because it may involve personnel.
Yes. So you don't think we can go anywhere else at all?
Capital and the trust funds are the only two that I know won't involve any,
Can we do like office supplies for departments? I mean.
but we're talking about the
that-
department without talking about the salaries, and we only have to come back to it again.
That's
So,
true.
Does that make
We
sense?
did that last year.
It's up to you, Art.
It's your show,
You can
Art.
do any line item you want. You want to leave out salaries and
I was
personnel?
not prepared for this,
Can I ask something though, maybe a little
but,
bit?
no, I'm sorry.
When I was looking through this, I noticed, you know, I'm looking at something that I'm familiar with, like say, the cheer, budget.
Mhm.
It seems really, disjointed, instead of having it in one expense, like cheer expense, it was in piecemeal in all different places. Is it possible to combine them and condense them so that it's a,
That is the recommendation in this budget to do just that.
okay, okay.
I didn't want to combine them yet because then we wouldn't be talking apples to apples from last year's budget,
Okay, but we're moving forward, that's how it'll be?
if approved by the council, yes.
Because right now it reads, if you look at it, cheer music, whatever, cheer trophies.
But this way you
much.
could track the costs.
But you still could.
You can't because we won't be able to see it then, Desiree, that's the problem.
I'll just be under.
It'll be under cheer, and it'll be $50,000, and then we'll never be able to tell what, I'm making up that number, and I know that's not what's in there.
Well, couldn't you see it in the detail audit?
No,
detail?
because it'll all get billed to the one account. You won't have an explanation of what it was for. You'll see the amount, but it won't say like, unless the company's called like Star Trophy, then you'll know it's Star Trophy, but it could be called Joe's, and then you'll see Joe's for $10,000 and be like, well, what
So-
the heck is Joe's?
So the issue I have is, let's say I'm here, I'm at the head of the department head, right, for cheer, and I'm saying, this year and last year, I used $700 for cheer music. Well, this year, it's gonna be $800, but I only budgeted $700. I prefer to use the $800 out of the trophy. It looks like I'm pulling from different line items when it should all kind of be one thing.
But that's what you want to prevent, because if you have a big pot and you end up.
But
like,
if it's under a certain amount, maybe, you know, if it's a smaller budget, under $2,000, could it just be lumped into one area? I'm not talking a $50,000 account, I'm talking, do you know what I'm saying?
Can it be, yes?
When I started, this section was 150 pages. We got it down to 82. We cut it in half.
When you
Trust me,
started,
we-
cheer didn't have music
We cleaned,
line.
we cleaned a lot of stuff. I'm just giving you the
Right.
history of it, okay?
No, I hear you.
We cleaned a lot of stuff up and trying to organize it really, really good. And I gotta say, the previous administrations did, this administration has, so we're really trying to do that. And if we can, we will.
I think
Because it
there's
makes it
room to
easier
clean
in
it
the
up
end.
even
'Cause
more.
The last thing we wanna do here is be here
Right.
for 20 meetings to get this done. But there's some things you can't really do that to, because you can't track it. And if you do put it in a general pot, then it becomes even more difficult to
And
track.
I agree, that's why I think there needs to be an amount, more than $2,000 should be broken up, you know, to be able to see it, but we're talking smaller accounts. If you have a smaller account that notoriously and historically tracks, you know, $2,500, but you're breaking it up 700 here and 1,200 here,
I don't think
and
you have any of those really.
I know Cheer does.
Well, that's
so-
because rec is broken up that way, so we can keep track of,
Who's doing
So
what?
the intent is cheer costs, let's just say you have 100 cheerleaders and they all pay $100. So that's the revenue coming in.
Correct.
So therefore, by breaking it all up, we know that you went over budget or you went under budget. But if you make it one big number, you can't track that. So you never know if you're covering your own expenses. And that's why rec, a lot of it's broken up into all different lines. So this way you can track it, like shells. Like shells may cost, the girls' shells may cost you one price this year, but then next year, you'd never be able to tell that it went up in price because it's all grouped into that one line item.
I could see that, but I think there's room to combine some of those expenses. Like,
Absolutely, there's always room.
I think it needs to, we can work on that a little bit more. And that was just me looking at, and that, you're right, it's rec, it's really the rec department. I think we can lump some of them a little bit closer.
And I
Why
think
don't you get your ideas together for the next meeting, and we'll try to accommodate that.
But we can't eliminate a line unless there's been zero spending there for what, 3 years? 4 years.
Not eliminate, can you combine?
No, you've got to have 4 years of that line having $0 there. So you can move the money, but the line still stays there for 4 years.
It's actually
4 or 5, I forget what.
5 years.
So like what you're saying, if you take that $800 for music and put it with uniforms, that line will still exist for another 4 years, so it's not going to get any smaller.
Okay.
Well, why don't we, just a thought, why don't we do what we can do for the next little while, because we all took tonight and dedicated it to this, and we're a bit short. Mr. Tovo's doing a yeoman job, and I'm trying to do my pitiful best at proceeding through this, having spoken to the mayor at some point today, who explained a lot of things to me, but not everything. And I'd like to start on page 2 with administration office supplies and steer carefully away from individual people, if you agree, and if you think that that's a good idea. We can get some of the little stuff knocked out of the way and get some progress done tonight. This is page 2 in the landscape page, as opposed to the upright page. And this is my first rodeo, so have pity, Mr. Snyder.
Office supplies are fascinating.
As I say.
Check the tape. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, nice seeing you.
You too.
Oh, if you go to page 66 in the budget, you can see that our energy management system consumed half the electricity in town hall.
Oh, you
Well, we're
left.
gone.
Left
the
Okay.
building.
Another time. Okay. Almost
Starting with,
made the big pitch. Let's see. Administration office supplies, 3,000 is requested. Administration recommended 3,000. How do you call it, people?
Historically, if you look at it, and again, I like to go off history,
Mm-hmm.
you spent, go back to 16, 2,000, 25, 22,
Mm-hmm.
3, and now we're at 3. So
It was only 3 last year
there's only
for the
3 last
first
year, so
time.
I don't know,
right?
are we getting more paper clips these days?
no, primarily the increase is due to the water cooler that we never had before.
The what?
Water cooler.
Water cooler, okay.
What's wrong with our drinking water? Oh, I guess we need cooled water. All right.
What is wrong with the drinking water?
Well, quite simply, everyone else had one but us. So the employees wanted that. I thought it was a reasonable expense.
Okay. So, now you have that. Can we go back to the 2,500 figure, do you think?
Well, if my actual last year was 31.
It's your phone. I guess we better get that. Well, last year was because of the fountain, the drinking water, yes?
We still have the drinking water.
No, I mean, the water cooler.
It's a recurring thing.
It's a recurring thing. We have to-
it's a new
Oh,
bill.
it was. I thought it was one-time
Monthly,
purchase. I
monthly.
misunderstood you.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we need the 3 then, okay. Is that okay with everyone?
Got a drink.
Mhm.
You got it, you've got it. Okay. I said one time that I had been drinking Hackensack River water, Hackensack Water Company water all my life, and they said, yes, and look at you. So I'm not gonna say that again,
Well,
you know.
there you go.
It's- you know. Postage. Steve, we have 76, 45, 86, 87. Now they're asking for 9.
What's the increase over the last 2 years, 18 and 19?
Yeah.
Well, if you go all the way back, there is some issue regarding where postage was being charged to individual departments.
Yeah, we were going to try to come, weren't we combining that?
Right.
I'm
So
sorry.
it's been centralized, but one of the numbers that had been previously missed was postage for anything being done through public affairs wasn't being charged to the public affairs postage line item, it's being charged here. So we upped it to cover that and eliminated the postage line item for public affairs.
What public affairs were mailed that we spent that much in?
Mailers done to require donations and
Okay, a stamp is 52 cents, Mr. Stover.
Didn't it also
Mr.
increase
DeSena,
next
I'm
year?
being told that's where.
No, but I'm saying,
some money was
but I'm
spent.
saying if you divide $3,000 by 52
Sue
cents,
has-
that's a lot of mailers.
Sue said something else was included in it.
Yeah, but didn't the increase in the postage go up this year?
How much is a stamp right now, Sue, do you know?
50 cents.
50 cents, right?
Don't we
mail
get
out a
bulk
lot.
mailing by it's all one zip code?
That's the calendars when we do a bulk mail that way.
I mean, if you look at our historic spend, I
Right.
mean, 16 you got 76,
Yeah.
225 and 15 makes no sense at all. Even 45 and 17 doesn't make sense. But then you go with 76, 86, 87, 9 seems to be a reasonable number to handle our postage.
So let's just try to find the.
It's a lot of postage.
We do a lot of mailings though.
9 going
We
once,
just start going
9 going
electronic.
twice.
We need to start going electronic.
We need to start electronically everything, yes.
It's a good idea.
Let's bring it down
We'll
500.
work them.
I'm not comfortable with it. I'd like to see the 2019 stay, but you guys decide.
Well, where are we then?
You'd like to see it at
6,000.
6,000.
And that kind of implies we're mailing things we don't need to mail. Until we do go electronic, it's not a fabricated number. When you mail out.
Nobody's claiming it's a
We-
fabricated number.
So if we go
Mr.
down to 6, we're like,
Another one
likely to
is, you know,
overspend again.
Tax bills were mailed out for $1,700.
Yeah, but that's a yearly expense, so we do that every year. You know, the town has to mail out tax bills.
We've got to do our permit fees. Every time we do a bulk mailing, we have to pay $700. I know I've mailed out 900 dog licenses, and I have to mail out some of the dog licenses even after they, you know, they don't all come to the office.
Yeah, but if they don't, they have to send you a self-addressed envelope, right?
No,
with a
they
stamp?
don't, they don't.
Maybe that's something that we start.
All other, you know, maybe that's something we have to
No,
look
not
at.
everybody does it, but we could try.
I mean, it's just a waste of money here. I mean, we're spending, you know, $8,800 last year on postage, and it's a lot of money, and we have to find ways to bring this budget down, because it's very high. And, you know, you start talking about 3,000 here, 5,000 here, you know, this budget is, you know,
I agree, the more money we spend on
$800,000
postage,
over the 2019 budget. It's a lot of money.
the less we can spend on other
Let's-
things,
All
right?
right, can
Let's
we,
take 5, let's take 500 out. We'll start with 5. We're starting to bring this budget down.
well, can
Not
we go
asking
with
for-
6? Can we all agree on 6?
Take 500 out of the
Out.
9?
I agree at 6,000.
I think it's low, and we probably have to transfer, but with that understanding,
But I think we have to start
So why would we
looking.
do that? If you're gonna say,
You're gonna
you
transfer
know
it,
it's
you're
gonna be
gonna transfer
loud,
it.
and we gotta transfer, why?
No, but I think we
do
have to
that?
look at avenues starting now
because
before
I'm
we
not
get into
getting
this
a
budget.
consensus.
Yeah, I think we need to start now that we have to start doing things differently, because we can't, I mean, it's just, you know, in 2017, how did we end up spending $4,600? And then all of a sudden we went up to 8,600. That's a huge difference.
Well, I
Okay,
think,
but we were at 76 the year before that. So the anomaly is probably in 17.
well, we consolidated some accounts.
And you
We
know
had a lot of
15's gotta be
discussion
wrong.
about
Yeah, we
that.
did consolidate accounts,
We had
yes.
discussions
Yeah,
about
we
that.
did that 2 years, last year and 2
And
years.
the postage was lower 5 years ago, which I'm sure it was.
With all
Why did we
respect
budget
To
15,000?
the dear departed, were
You spent 225.
insisting on putting all the postage
And you know that can't be an
together.
accurate number. You know, we spend more than 225
So
in postage.
that's why you have a higher number. Now, what
No,
can
but
we
she
all
would mail
agree
it,
on,
yeah.
please?
Oh,
I'm okay with 6.
Knock 1,000 out of it. I'm good with 8.
8?
8, and then just be
Mr.
careful with
D?
the mail.
You had said 6 before.
Here's the,
Well, I was
I'm
trying
good
to
with 8.
mollify you,
I'm
but,
good with 8
I
because
mean,
you're gonna have to-
we have to be reasonable
You're gonna
too,
have
as
to find
Make
Mr.
it
Schiff.
7, and I make it 7 and meet halfway, and we make sure the departments start doing things differently. You know, we're supposed to, you know, a lot of municipalities have gone to no paper, and
Yeah.
we have to start looking at ways to become no paper. I mean, you know,
I know, I get the notices online every other day from Verizon and other people.
Correct.
Go paperless, but my wife likes a paper bill, and
Which is fine,
we
but-
pay from paper bills, and we file them and keep them.
you know, but you got 3,000 here, 4,000
school,
there,
man.
and start there.
Sorry.
old school, hey, I'm with you.
Oh, no, she sends electronic checks.
Okay.
So we
what
save that
What does
postage.
everybody want to do?
I'd like to see, I'd like to go to 8. Just leave it at 8. Because I don't want
I
to
agree.
transfer
I
later
agree.
on.
I'm more comfortable
wanna
with
trust
8
something,
than I am
and
with 6.
Here's the thing.
That's what you guys
I
want to do,
say-
that's fine.
I say 8, even 75, 75.
I mean, cutting this down, as Mr. T pointed out, is only gonna necessitate a transfer.
I'm not looking to kill it,
It's
but
not-
I'm looking to be
Someone's
reasonable.
watching it,
It's
right?
not
Someone's
necess-
watching it along the line. We're not looking at it once a year, just now, right?
Well, Mr.
Someone's
Tovo,
watching
you're the
it.
administrator, you tell people postages is like gold. So
Slow
unless
it
it's gotta be
down.
mailed, mail it.
Right.
That's all. You're watching the piggy bank.
we do hand deliveries.
And that's
Hand delivery.
the, you know,
Council will do it.
Pigeons.
that's the,
No, I'll
That's
give you
the-
one
that's the
idea
job.
that you should take seriously, and that's buying thinner, lighter paper instead of the heavy bond paper.
We don't
that-
use bond paper.
Electronic is the way,
Okay.
even if 50% of us, 50% of the people start doing things
so my
electronically.
proposal is
it's good.
$8,000 for a long time.
All right,
I like that.
we're hung up on an
Are we hung, or can we proceed?
item. Proceed.
So are we saying that Councilman Cassio is motioning to reduce it to 8?
That's my motion.
And who's gonna second?
I'll second.
Are you all in agreement?
At least 3.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I just save the taxpayer for rent.
No,
Okay.
What did you want?
I want it less.
You want it less?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. We're in 2020, and if we can't control the postage machine, and you look at the entries, it seems like somebody's running there and putting money when it's at 0 because we're putting like $3,000 a shot. And it's just, nobody's monitoring, nobody's watching, the Fox isn't watching the hen house.
Let's see
But the
where it is next
postage
year.
has gone
The
up,
Fox is not
3
watching the
cents.
hen house?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
The postage has gone up in the past couple of years.
It's 50 cents, or we get a bulk. we
It's
should get a bulk.
50, it was 47.
Yeah, I mean, it just, we're using it way too much.
I think 8,000 is fair. If
That's fine, you guys moved it, that's fine.
Like, I would feel comfortable moving them more, but I think we're gonna have to transfer. it.
right.
That's all.
I
I
like
understand, trust me.
I would just like to put a practice in effect that we start watching it and using it less, that's
And I
all.
think that's definitely what we need to do moving forward.
Yeah,
So hopefully next year we can get it down to 6.
Sue.
Can I make a
Yeah.
comment, please? As one of your employees that are in here,
I'm sorry?
you don't have people running the personal mail through this thing.
I didn't make that statement, Mrs.
I know, but
You
I'm
can't
saying
do
you've got
anything.
court people
Who's
that
watching
are
the hen
running.
house? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but we're
You know,
running this
it's
thing
not
as
happening.
$3,000 every single time.
But court people are sending out their violation notices, we're doing dog licenses, you got POs being mailed out for signature.
Why can't we
you
do
know.
POs electronically like every other town?
Well, that is something that
We
we
are
can discuss.
discussing that.
So, I mean, you're saving stamps, you're mailing stuff back and forth with
That's why I
POs.
think-
That's, a 1 PO costs you $4 in stamps, like, what are we doing?
That's why I think, when change is gonna take a little bit of time, everyone's gonna have to
Yeah.
get acclimated.
Yeah.
It's gonna go down eventually just by the nature of the change.
So my comment wasn't that people were using, we have to start looking at best management practices and doing things differently. So instead of mailing POs, let's email them and get them back.
when we are looking at many best management practices, this would just be one of them.
Correct. So nobody was making any statements that people were using their personal mail there. It's just that there's
I just wanted to
ways
make
that
sure that
department
that
heads
doesn't
should be
happen.
looking. You go to these classes with the state and they talk about this all the time, that we should be doing more stuff electronically and paperless, and we're not doing that, Bob. That's all I'm saying. So there's no
I heard
accusation
you.
made.
Oh, I mean.
Okay, well,
whatever.
you made a statement that, that you got, both you and Sue said that, nobody ever said that people were using it for personal mail.
I just wanna make sure because. it's-
Well, I wanna put it on the record that I
it's
did not
rampant.
say that.
Right, you did not
Okay.
say
All
that,
right.
I'm just saying it's not a rampant thing.
Well, we've gotten a little off the track. Can we
Okay.
continue with books and subscriptions?
I did ask for an increase here. There are some publications provided by the league that I'd like to buy more of this year and moving forward, just so we can keep up to date on what's going on out there.
Okay, we have 120 requested, 120 recommended. Can we approve 120?
I can, I understand it. You're
Yep.
saying you used 6890 of it last and you have more, that's understandable.
Small amount,
Yeah.
but just use it.
Dues and conferences, 600, let's see, 372, 405, 0 1 year for one reason or another, 998, and now we have 1,500 requested.
Yeah, and last year, 998 was for the purchasing, that wasn't used by myself. I'd like the opportunity to go to some updated conferences, and still not prohibit purchasing from doing the same thing. They would both come out of this budget.
So that's what you need, 1,500?
I think that's a good number for 2 people for conferences.
Okay. Everybody all right with 1,500?
Historically, no. Cut it down 500, you get 1,000. That's my recommendation, you can do what you want.
Mr. Tovo, did you price out your conferences?
If you look at that 998, that's about the cost of the conference, or, you know, the ones that are along the purchasing guidelines. So if 2 people attended one conference, that's 2,000, so,
Mm-hmm.
so 1,500 I thought was already a reasonable number. But if we have to do 1,000, we can find a way to work with it.
Motion 1,000, minus 5.
Okay, 1,000. Can't do this with the whole budget, though. People
Listen,
need
no, we are.
$2,000 to go for training, they need 2,000. 1,000 won't do it. I just asked him what the price was. Travel and mileage stipend, this is an ongoing thing, it doesn't change.
By ordinance.
My understanding, thank you, by ordinance, 600. Administrative copy machine, expenditures have been 17, 17, 17, 17, 16, and you're budgeting 19.
As we did last year. I mean, I think we've been consistent, but we all know it's a moving target. More copies are gonna cost more.
Well, you've never hit over 17 and change. So, how about 17 people?
Well, he's gone over 17. How about 18?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
18.
I'm
You're
good with
correct,
18.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
18?
Sure.
Sure.
Oh, we got $100 out there, very good. Furniture and equipment, $51, 2,300, 48,000, 2,000.
Keep in mind that
What is this
19
for?
is an anomaly.
Uh-huh.
Where we put some of the items that were requested for capital into current, that's the line item that it went into,
Uh-huh.
right? The way, there's some office space configuration, desk-wise, we may need to do some corrections because the public's ability to see computers. So inventory of the current furniture we have, not sure that's gonna be the fix, so we may have to go out and buy something to make sure we protect those computers from public view,
And where is that?
primarily in the admin office.
In the admin office.
I'm okay with 2,000.
Michael? Mr. DeSena,
Yes.
2,000 okay?
Sure.
Ms. Desiree? Ms. Morton?
What is it that you're purchasing?
So, different furniture so that we can keep our computers protected from public view.
Okay.
Our inventory of current furniture just isn't gonna fit in that location, we have to do a couple of different
And
things.
we know that you already got a price, so it's gonna be about.
We have some pricing, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Tovo, you know, when you look back at this, you know, with the previous spending of the 48 and change, you know, there was a lot of postage machine billed to this item. So that's what concerns me. If you look at the expenditures for 2019 of 90120-100-300, we have 2 leases of postage machine, we have lease of postage machine, we have lease of postage machine, we have postage machine standards, postage machine again, I mean, it's gotta be in meter rentals, and it's all, you know, postage machine standard. You know, there's postage billed to this line also.
I'll look into that.
All right, let's hold on to that then. So we'll
That
table
was
that.
90120 300?
100, 300.
103.
100.
So you're holding off on that
What
one?
page is that?
Tabling it,
It's page 8.
2.
or whatever the appropriate.
I'm sorry, it's page 9.
Oh, you're
Okay,
okay.
that's fine, good, we're on the page.
Me too.
Mr. Tupper, who entered these in the actuals? What,
Who charged into to that line item?
yeah,
Is that the question?
not a name, just a position.
I would have to say it would have to be either administration or planning zone.
Yeah, 'cause like the cabling work got charged to that line item, Mr. Tovo. A lot of Windows software got charged to that item. You know, smart UPS
Well,
got charged to that item.
The cabling for the 6800, is that the right one?
I lost my spot, I'm sorry.
But that,
Yes.
that should have been charged there because that's
It's
where.
equipment, I guess we're counting that as equipment.
No, remember that's where we moved the proposed capital into this line item. So that was the access control for the admin building, was part of that $51,000.
I'm sorry?
When we proposed the access control,
Mhm.
25,000 was under admin, intended to be capital, but it was recommended to move into current, so that this is a line item in current, it was moved to.
Okay, and then there's also in this line item, there's $20,000 open for door controllers, readers, and fobs, gnomecom.llc.
That should have been canceled, so,
It's still showing, it's open, it's still open, not canceled.
okay.
And then there's an open one in that line item also for WB Mason for $8,000 in chairs.
We did encumber the money to buy the chairs for the personnel, our permanent personnel. That was also one that was
But it still
capital.
shows that it's open, did we get the chairs?
We didn't get the chairs yet,
Oh.
we're putting the order together. Advertisements, 1,500, with the exception of 19, that's in the range of where we were for 16, 17, and 18. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
What advertisements are those traditionally?
Traditionally, they're for job advertisements, job opening advertisements, and anything else that the town would have to be responsible for advertising, non-clerk related. So we probably have some room to come down on this one.
What's your recommendation,
I would
Mr. Cumming?
recommend 1,000.
Mr. Cumming, what is your recommendation?
That seems a little light, but fine, 1,000. Everyone okay with that?
Sure.
Good, we got another one knocked off, thank God. Administrative training, 3,500.
This is-
75, we have, I'm sorry, 18, 1849, 955, 1944, and then 3,500 for request.
Yeah, so far, we've only been sending one person to the QPA courses. Did not have the opportunity to attend any last year, so I would like to get at least one, if not two in, and our current purchasing person would be able to complete theirs as well. But the courses do run about $1,000 a course.
It's
What would be the
$1,000 a
benefit of
course.
having multiple QPAs, Mr. Tuttle?
Not uncommon to have multiple QPAs, meaning that somebody leaves, you still have one. But you could make the argument that you only need one.
I mean, we've always only had one, so I was just looking what the benefit of having
And if you lose,
multiple.
then if you lose the one, then we have to outsource again, and that number can be,
We're
moving target
outsourcing
on
right
it.
now, right?
We are, but if we want to expand that role, that amount we're paying per month would go up substantially.
If it's $1,000 a person
Per course.
per course,
Right.
and you need how many courses?
Well, you can probably get 2 courses in a year, just based on how they fall.
Then why are we at 3,500, please?
Well, because if I were to take 2 courses and the current purchasing person took one, that's 3,000. We're a little bit of room if it's more than that.
Three? Gentlemen,
Make the motion. Is that your motion?
I'm suggesting 3. Is that satisfactory?
I agree with 3.
Sure.
Why not?
That seems to be what the number is. Administrative printing, there's no entry. Can you enlighten us?
There's nothing, we don't foresee the need for any printing other than the calendar, which is budgeted separately.
Right, somewhere else.
So the line is not used?
That's
No,
the
they
recommendation.
had the, what's the, envelopes. Department of Correction, that's what it's, non-window envelopes from the Department of Corrections.
Nothing, okay.
Zero, so you slash it out. So,
Miscellaneous. What,
keys.
miscellaneous is a word unto itself. What does this mean
No,
here?
it's just that, it's a miscellaneous category, we do have bills come in that don't have a clean fit to other categories, and, just for one example from, Mr. Cassio, keys, there are just things that we need to have a catch-all in order to cover it without trying to pigeonhole it as something that doesn't belong
We
in.
had our key fobs, we wouldn't need keys.
Right.
Yeah. I keep trying to pull the key out from my car and it just it won't work. There's only the fob and it stays in the pocket.
Pizza.
Of course,
Miscellaneous.
I wonder when I'm gonna learn to do it the modern way. Not
That's a lot.
keep looking for a key.
$1,500 pizza.
All right,
What about,
so, 1,500 for the miscellaneous line? May I suggest that based on the administrator's recommendation? Or do you feel that's a place to cut and we can drop it to 1,000?
I'm just looking at the history.
Yeah,
You got 1,100, 280,
Mhm.
138,
Mhm.
$6,000,
Mm-hmm,
one grand.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened in 2018, why that was so high. And even 2019 was a little on the skew, so I don't know.
Just trying to help with the
I'll do
movement
1,000
toward
for 1,000.
conservatism.
How about 1,000?
1,000?
I'll make a motion for 1,000, bring it down 500.
Excellent. Everybody okay with that? Hello?
I'm looking,
Yes.
hang on.
Sorry, I'm just trying to move along.
Yeah,
I
I see.
apologize.
It's okay.
Page 3.
Yeah, no, I know exactly where we are.
She's on the audit trail, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, the audit trail being miscellaneous.
Okay.
Right.
The
I was
item,
looking to see
the
all
item is
stuff that could
a
possibly
cloudy
be
item
surprised.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's other things that weren't thought of. Plaques, a whole $20 was expended and it's nothing. Nothing, right?
Correct.
Mr. T, thank you. Okay.
Plaques are budgeted elsewhere under,
It was explained to me, thank you.
Miscellaneous.
Yes. All right, Sue. Computer software.
What are we getting?
well, we,
Oh, that's the scheduling thing, I'm sorry.
no, it's not.
You go ahead.
This is the expansion of
I apologize.
spatial data logic, which is currently used in construction. This is the tracking software, fleet maintenance tracking. Our bill is about, our contracted amount is about $8,500 a year, but we may need some additional training for the new users. So I did up a little bit so we could accommodate that.
When the mayor and I went to the county for our fleet services for the gas and all, we were told that they could, if we look, have we asked them if we could have them do this for us? Mr. President?
I've had the discussions with expanding our relationship with the county on a number of levels. They are not ready for that, taking on the fleet tracking for us and not ready for the vehicle, the truck wash that we want to utilize as well. There's a number of things still up in the air that,
They're not ready to help us with that, you're saying?
no, they're not ready to take anybody else on under that part of their system. So I feel like being vehicle tracking is only one module in the many we can utilize. So it'd be our option whether we outsource it or we do it internally, but the sooner we get it started, the better.
And who would be doing this internally?
Primary lead on this.
I don't know if we can talk about that.
Which department would it fall onto?
It's going to be a police DMF effort here to manage the software, because obviously they have the majority of the vehicles, the majority of the complaints that come in are either police or DMF related, with a planning, zoning being, and code enforcement being a close runner-up to that. So the administrative personnel in DMF and police will be the lead people on the software. Tracking software.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's tracking software.
So it's 80, we're talking it's 85 recurrent every year, and we're adding 1,500 for a new module, basically.
No, additional training.
Additional training.
Yeah, because we can go to their facility for free for training, but we have to pay if they need to come here. With the number of users we're gonna have, it might make sense at some point for them to come here.
So come here.
Go down there, get the basics, and if we need some more, we have the money to bring them up here.
I agree.
All right, leave it.
Number of 10, all right, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Thank you. Next item, computer supplies, 000. Is that okay, Mr. T?
Yes.
Okay. Computer maintenance, we have some numbers, but it looks like it's another 000.
It's a 0, 0. Yep,
Is that okay?
it is.
Thank you. Control total, I don't need. That was explained to me, that's why I have my stickies there. Department total, which we're done with that.
Admin IT services would be your next.
Yes, please. Oh, would it? Not the maintenance and support? The IT services.
Yeah, well, that was, as you can see, that's not been budgeted the last 2 years.
Okay,
So it's being budgeted under IT services.
thank you.
I'm asking for a slight increase there.
Okay.
The vendor has not asked for an increase, but we may need more of his services this coming year, especially with the SDL software coming in. He's the one that'll be doing the install for us, and that person knows enough about this, where they can also be an asset to us.
Okay, so we have a number of 22 that's requested and recommended. Is everybody all right with that, please?
it again, about why we would need that?
Our IT service provider is installing the SDL software for us, has a good depth of knowledge on how it works. I could foresee that being another training opportunity for our people, would be with him
Oh,
as
okay.
well as the vendor.
The training.
So I thought we'd
Okay.
have,
Because the vendor's price should include those trainings.
it does include some,
Okay.
but I think with the way we're gonna start out with a certain amount of modules, we're gonna wanna start utilizing more as we go along. And I believe our IT vendor can give us a better hands-on
Okay,
training session than even the vendor.
okay.
Mr. Tova?
Yes.
See, there's 2 bills for Borough of Saddle River. Are we using their people? Under IT services, monthly monitoring?
Not to the best of my knowledge, we use their services, we use their services in construction, so it might have been for the SDL portal. How much were the bills?
15, 3 for 1,500. So it's, what's that, 6,000?
It says monthly IT monitoring, Borough Saddle River.
February, 3 of them.
Disappointed.
Or maybe it's at the same check number. Oh, no, it's the vendor number. Oh, paid check, void, paid check.
Rather than us trying to guess, let me get the answer.
Please, it's just stood out for whatever reason. Okay.
Can you find out what the Microsoft Exchange Online is, Bob?
Microsoft Exchange Online.
It sounds familiar, but I don't want to answer without.
If you can get me that answer, please, thank you. So can we table that one, Mr. Cummings?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I would request that the mayor be here for the mayor's budget, so if we wanted to do that as our pickup point on Tuesday night, that could make sense.
That's fine. That's okay with Mr. Cummings?
How's everyone say on that?
I'm good with it.
Me too.
Had it for tonight? We've done some things, that's good. Thank you for your cooperation. I appreciate your input and your cooperation and your valuable opinions, and I truly mean that.
So-
Motion to close.
Do I have a motion to close, please?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Before we close, can I just,
I'm sorry?
It should be on the record.
I didn't know.
would you like proposed schedule of different departments prior to Tuesday's meeting or at Tuesday's meeting?
Oh, why don't we get it prior?
Prior would be good, so I know.
So that
What's that?
So we-
Right,
Can we
so
get
we-
the answers
So we
before
can plan it out?
No, I'm asking about the schedule for the different departments.
Well, I think we should have them, some of the departments should be here Tuesday night if we can. I mean, that would be the,
Yes, I
Was-
agree.
Yep.
I think whoever you can get here Tuesday night, as long as Mrs. Feeney and Mr. Cumming are okay with that.
Yes,
that's-
please.
That's what we should be doing, right? I mean,
I'm sure that
And
Mrs.
then
Feeney
know
would
who
like
they
Why
are,
I'm asking.
Prepare our questions for
Yeah,
them.
good question, and thank you so much for interrupting. All in favor of adjourning if there's no other business?
I'm
Aye.
good with it.
Aye.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you.